Long before 50 Cent dominated the charts, he was fighting for his life in a street war that nearly buried him.
When did the stabbing happen?
That was in the Hit Factory.
So then after that, there's another altercation.
He's like, who's here? He's like, 50, he's here, he's in the building. He's like, and I want to get him, let's get him now.
In March 2000, inside Manhattan's iconic Hit Factory studio, Ja Rule's Murder Inc. crew stormed the halls after learning 50 was recording there.
The engineer says, they done stabbed 50 Cent. I'm like, oh,
Blades were drawn. 50 was stabbed in the chest and hands. It wasn't random.
Yeah, 50's a beast.
I mean, do you feel that 50's beef with Irv and Murder Inc. outshined Irv's actual accomplishments, which are very significant?
A war that began with a hallway brawl and sparked a beef that would change hip-hop forever. What happened next will shock you. Chapter 1. Hit Factory, the setup. Located on 54th Street in Midtown Manhattan, on a crisp afternoon in March 2000, 25-year-old Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, stepped into the Hit Factory record where music legends Michael Jackson, Madonna, Stevie Wonder had etched their greatness into the walls. But what was meant to be a regular studio session was about to erupt into bloodshed. At the time, 50 wasn't yet the superstar we know today. He was the gritty kid from South Jamaica, Queens, building a name off raw lyrics, real beef, and zero fear. Just weeks earlier, he had dropped Your Life's on the Line, a scathing diss aimed squarely at Ja Rule and his label, Murder Inc. He didn't mention names, but in Queens, everybody knew who it was for. The streets were buzzing, tensions had reached a boiling point. Behind the scenes, Murder Inc. wasn't taking the disrespect lightly. According to multiple insiders, someone, maybe from the label, maybe from the streets, tipped them off. 50's at the Hit Factory right now. That single phone call set off a chain reaction.
We went looking for him in the studio.
Found him.
Yeah, wasn't easy, but we did find him.
Within hours, black SUVs pulled up in front of the studio. Out stepped Irv Gotti, Ja Rule, Chris Gotti, and a crew of heavy-set men, all ready to confront the man who was rapidly becoming their biggest problem. They weren't there to talk. They came to handle it. Chapter 2. The Stabbing.
The story was that Black Child stabbed him?
Well, you know, that could be the story. I don't like to talk like that, Vlad.
It happened in seconds, sudden, violent, and explosive. In March 2000, inside the maze-like halls of Manhattan's Hit Factory, 50 Cent had just finished speaking to a producer and was walking toward the vocal booth. With him were one or two close associates, likely members of his inner circle from Queens. The corridor was dimly lit, the kind of place that could turn into a trap with just the right amount of planning. And that's exactly what it became. From the opposite end of the hallway, Ja Rule and Murder Inc.'s crew advanced. Black Child, a rapper under Irv Gotti's label, led the charge. The moment was tense, but nobody expected what came next. Witnesses later said there was shouting, heated words that blurred with movement. Then someone lunged, a knife flashed. Black Child plunged it forward, stabbing 50 Cent multiple times, once in the chest, slicing into soft tissue, and again in both hands as 50 tried to block the blows. Blood splattered across the studio walls, staining the carpet and door frames. The entire incident lasted less than a minute, but the trauma of it would ripple across the industry for years. What exactly sparked the violence at that moment remains debated. Black Child later told media outlets that he acted in self-defense, that 50 had reached for a gun first.
It's like 5 of us and 5 of them and getting it on and fighting and bond. Some way, somehow, the lights got hit off, you know what I mean? And I wasn't letting nobody get to their gun to pop me, you know what I mean? So I started poking straight up and down.
But others present that day, including engineers, interns, and associates of both camps, tell a different story. They say it was a coordinated ambush, not a scuffle, that Murder Inc. didn't come there hoping for a conversation. They came to shut 50 down physically. Despite his wounds, 50 Cent managed to fight his way out of the situation. Blood running down his shirt, he bolted through a back exit and fled into the Manhattan streets. Somehow he made it several blocks, wounded, dizzy, and losing blood. Fate intervened when he stumbled into the lobby of Sony Music Studios, just a few doors down. There, he crossed paths with Benzino, who was in the building for an unrelated session.
I remember there was a story, I think Benzino actually told me
He
that...
saved 50.
Yeah, 50,
Put him
I
in
guess.
the car. Put him in the car. He didn't know 50 at the time. He put him in his car service that was...
He saved 50 when he got stabbed, when that thing happened with him and Ja Rule, when he came to my studio and I called him a car service. And
then I didn't even go to the hospital. The little scratch I had only was with 3 stitches.
Benzino immediately saw the condition 50 was in and took action. Using a Source magazine car service on standby, he had 50 rushed to the hospital. According to various reports, that quick decision may have saved 50's life. It is not confirmed, but all evidence points to one chilling possibility. Had 50 Cent hesitated for even a second longer in that hallway, he might not have walked out alive. Chapter 3. No arrests, no justice. A stabbing in broad daylight in a public hallway inside one of Manhattan's most high-profile recording studios. You'd think that would trigger arrests, trials, and an avalanche of legal fallout, but what happened at the Hit Factory in March 2000 didn't follow the usual playbook. The NYPD was called almost immediately after the incident. Witnesses present that day, including interns, engineers, and studio staff, spoke to investigators. 50 Cent was rushed to the hospital, treated for stab wounds to his chest and hands. Medical reports confirmed the injuries. The story spread fast. An up-and-coming rapper nearly taken out in one of the city's most iconic creative spaces. Black Child, whose real name is Ramel Gill, didn't go into hiding. In fact, he owned the incident. In interviews conducted shortly after, he admitted he stabbed 50, but he painted it as an act of self-defense. According to his version of events, 50 Cent reached for a gun first, forcing him to act. That claim, however, has long been disputed. People present that night and sources close to both sides insist there was no firearm found on 50. Some even say the idea of a gun was invented later to frame the act as reactionary instead of premeditated. But despite a public admission, despite a wounded victim, despite dozens of witnesses, something strange happened next. Nothing. No arrests, no indictments, no trial. Black Child was never sentenced. Irv Gotti and Ja Rule were never charged with orchestrating the attack. The stabbing was essentially buried, as if it were just another fight at a bar. Not a coordinated assault involving a major record label, a rising rapper, and a group of industry insiders. The question on everyone's mind was, why? Some believe the answer lies in Murder Inc.'s reach at the time. In the early 2000s, Irv Gotti's label was riding high, with Ja Rule at the top of the charts and Irv's influence spreading across radio, clubs, and music television. Murder Inc. was bigger than just hip-hop. They were an empire. That kind of power comes with connections. Connections in the industry, connections in the legal world, and most importantly, connections in the streets. It's not confirmed, but all evidence suggests that someone somewhere made sure this didn't go any further. Whether it was behind closed doors, settlements, intimidation, or strategic silences, the result was the same. No one was held accountable. The conspiracy theories began bubbling. Some said the case was paid off. Others pointed fingers at executives who wanted to protect their investments. And a few more daring voices accused law enforcement of turning a blind eye out of fear or favor. Even years later, the internet still buzzes with disbelief. On forums, Reddit threads, and old-school hip-hop blogs, the same question gets asked again and again. How do you stab a man in a public studio, admit to it, and walk away untouched? That moment was a wake-up call for fans. It showed that this was no longer just about diss tracks and interviews. This was deeper. Real-life consequences, real-life danger. And if you look closely, the music industry had blurred into something else. Something darker, more dangerous, and far harder to control. It also marked a pivotal moment for 50 Cent. While many would have backed down after such an attack, he doubled down. He didn't fold. He sharpened his pen. Instead of running to police, he ran to the booth, and what came out was pure fire. But before the retaliation, before the diss tracks, and before the rise, there was still unfinished business. Because behind that stabbing, there were deeper layers involving Irv Gotti, Supreme, and the shadows of Queens. Chapter 4. The Supreme Connection. To truly understand why 50 Cent was stabbed inside the Hit Factory that day in March 2000, you have to pull it back. This wasn't just a personal feud. It wasn't just two rappers trading insults on wax. This was war, a layered battle with deep roots in Queens where street politics, power plays, and real-life consequences intersected with the rap industry. At the center of it all was Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a name that carried serious weight in South Jamaica, Queens. Supreme, as he was widely known, wasn't just a street figure, he was a legend. Founder of the Supreme Team, one of the most feared drug organizations in New York during the 1980s, his reputation remained untouched even after serving prison time. He wasn't flashy, he was surgical, strategic, and his influence never really faded. By the late 90s, Supreme had shifted his focus, at least on paper, from narcotics to the music business. And that's where Murder Inc. comes in. Irv Gotti, founder of the label, was close to Supreme, very close. Some say their relationship was strictly business, others believe it went much deeper. Either way, it was no secret in Queens that Irv Gotti and Supreme moved together and that Ja Rule, the label star, benefited from that alliance.
A song called Ghetto Quran that 50 Cent wrote ends up leaking. And it essentially names all the big street guys in Queens. Supreme, Prince.
Then came 50 Cent, real name Curtis Jackson, born and raised in South Jamaica, Queens, just like Supreme. But unlike Murder Inc., 50 didn't align with Supreme. In fact, 50's breakout track, Ghetto Quran, Forgive Me, dropped names, real names, Supreme's name included. In the song, 50 laid out street histories like a journalist, painting vivid pictures of drug dealers, rivalries, and kingpins. Many in the hood called it bold, others called it reckless. It's not confirmed, but all evidence suggests that Ghetto Quran was the final straw. Shortly after the track leaked, on May 24, 2000, just outside his grandmother's house on 161st Street and South Jamaica Avenue, 50 Cent was shot 9 times at close range. Bullets hit his legs, hand, arm, hip, and face. He was nearly killed, left for dead. No one was arrested, no one was convicted, but on the streets, people whispered the name, Supreme. The Hit Factory stabbing came less than a year after that shooting, March 2000. Same city, same tension, same players. Lots of fans believe that what happened at the Hit Factory wasn't just a spontaneous brawl, it was a second act, a continuation. The shooting hadn't worked, so Murder Inc., allegedly with Supreme silent approval, moved to finish the job another way. Ja Rule, Chris Gotti, Black Child, Irv Gotti all reportedly showed up that day. Black Child was the one who drove the blade into 50 Cent's chest and hands, but according to some insiders, he didn't act alone and he didn't act without orders. And what was the motive? It wasn't just that 50 was disrespectful, it was that he was dangerous. He threatened the image, the legacy, and possibly even the security of Murder Inc. and its affiliates. He was exposing names, daring to speak out about things rappers usually avoided. He was poking a hornet's nest backed by real killers. The Supreme team wasn't just folklore. Their members had been tied to everything from extortion to murder for hire. And while Supreme himself never publicly admitted involvement in the attack on 50, his presence loomed large over every chapter of the story. The New York Times, Spin Magazine, and even The Guardian would later report on links between Supreme and Murder Inc., noting phone records, financial ties, and suspiciously timed communication around the day 50 was shot. There were even reports that Irv Gotti and Supreme exchanged phone messages just minutes before the attempted hit on 50 Cent. That led some to believe the label wasn't just a music machine. It was a front, a shield. And 50? He was the one person threatening to break that shield wide open. Some conspiracy theories reveal that the stabbing was meant to finish what the bullets had failed to do. Silence 50, remove him from the industry, take away the threat. But what they didn't count on was 50's resilience. He survived 9 shots, he survived a stabbing, he survived industry blackballing. While his enemies assumed he'd disappear or be too scared to keep pushing, he came back louder, sharper, and more ruthless than ever before. And the more Murder Inc. pushed, the harder he pushed back. Every blade, every bullet, every rumor of betrayal, they didn't destroy him, they built him. Because this wasn't just a rap beef, this was about one man walking into a firestorm and refusing to burn. Chapter 5. How 50 Turned Pain into Power. Most people would have folded after getting stabbed. For 50 Cent, it was just the beginning. The attack at the Hit Factory in March 2000 should have ended his career. He was already blackballed by the industry. Labels were scared. Executives distanced themselves. He was seen as a walking liability. Dangerous, unpredictable, radioactive. But instead of backing down, 50 went underground. And from that darkness, he built a legacy. He teamed up with DJ Woo Kid and Sean Money XL, flooding the streets with mixtapes. But these weren't just tracks, they were warnings. 50 named names, exposed secrets, and made it clear he wasn't going away. Songs like Your Life's on the Line, Back Down, and Wanksta took direct aim at Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, and Murder Inc. He mocked them, humiliated them, and dismantled their street image line by line. When Get Rich or Die Trying dropped in February 2003, it wasn't just an album, it was a weapon. It debuted at number 1, selling over 870,000 copies in its first week. The world had never seen anything like it. A man who'd been shot 9 times, stabbed, blackballed, and still won. The key? 50 turned pain into a brand. He made survival look powerful. The bullet wounds, the scars, the tension, it was all real. Tracks like Many Men didn't just entertain, they documented war, and fans believed him because he lived it. While Murder Inc. faced federal raids and public doubt, 50 was ascending. He didn't just survive their attacks, he thrived off them. Every threat became a bar, every wound became a badge. They tried to kill him, he came back bigger, stronger, louder, and that's when the industry realized you couldn't stop 50 Cent, you could only hope to survive him. Chapter 6. Ja Rule Strikes Back. Ja Rule wasn't silent either. He released tracks like Loose Change and Blood in My Eye. He accused 50 of being a snitch, a rat, even pulled out paperwork in interviews, trying to frame 50 as cooperating with the police. The G-Unit crew responded with more music and more disrespect. Tony Yayo later said in an interview that if 50 didn't run that day at the Hit Factory, he would have been gone. It's not confirmed, but many fans believe that even Ja Rule started regretting the studio stabbing. Why? Because it didn't stop 50. It supercharged him. Chapter 7. Gotti's Role in the Shadows. Then there's Irv Gotti, the man behind the curtain. While Ja Rule was the face, Irv was the engine of Murder Inc. And according to some sources, he wasn't just producing tracks, he was making calls. In multiple interviews, Irv downplays his role, says he's all love, says 50 Cent is a great businessman. But older clips tell a different story. Clips where Irv goes off accusing 50 of being a snitch, a fake, a fraud. Some internet theories claim that Irv Gotti was more involved than people know, that his connection to Supreme McGriff wasn't just friendly, it was business. And that's what makes this feud different. It wasn't just about rap, it was about criminal networks, reputation, and control. Chapter 8. The Streets Speak.
Did you know about how 50 and Murder Inc. were getting into it during this time, or was that
I was outside when we was getting into it. When it happened, I was there.
Bimmy, a known street figure, once shared details about that night at the Hit Factory. Said he was in the studio, saw the tension, knew it could go left fast, and it did. Black Child, who did the stabbing, said years later in a Vlad TV interview that he had no choice, that 50 was reaching for something that he feared for his life. But some fans aren't buying it. They say it was a setup, a hit disguised as a beef. Even the fact that 50 didn't press charges raised eyebrows. Lots of people wonder, did he know the rules too well? Did he refuse to be labeled as a victim? Chapter 9. The Aftermath and Domination. After the stabbing, Murder Inc. thought 50 would lay low, but he didn't. By 2003, he had become the hottest rapper in the world. Backed by Eminem and Dr. Dre, he had the machine and the story. 9 bullets, a stabbing, enemies everywhere, but still alive. Ja Rule's career began to fade. Irv Gotti came under legal heat, money laundering charges, federal investigations, all tied to his association with Supreme. 50 kept dropping albums, kept building G-Unit, kept mocking, jabbing, exposing. Every new song felt like a victory lap over Murder Inc.'s ashes. Chapter 10. Legacy of That Day. Today, 50 Cent is a mogul. Music, TV, alcohol, books, he's untouchable. But if you ask fans where that legend began, they point to 2 events. 1, the shooting. 2, the stabbing. The stabbing at the Hit Factory proved he wasn't just a survivor, he was a warrior. It's not confirmed, but all evidence points toward this. The moment Ja Rule's crew tried to end 50 Cent in that hallway was the moment they created their greatest enemy. That was the day 50 Cent looked death in the face again and walked away laughing. And for Irv Gotti, Ja Rule, and Murder Inc., it was the day they found out just how dangerous 50 Cent truly was.